Oh, it was a toilet that was causing that leak. Because I had to caulk it. That's part of the other reason why I came here, because I couldn't use the bathroom. Yes, that all does. Or can still leak. Good praise, esteem, and honor to the living Elohim in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach this day. We bless his Kadesh Shabbat. We say hallelujah for Yahushua. And said, John, testify to me, and you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not love out here in you. I come in my Abba's name, and you receive me not. Another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which responded one from another, and not the honor that comes from Elohim only? Do not think that I will accuse you. The Abba, there's one that accused you, even Moses, in whom you trust. Had you believed Moses, you would have believed me. But if you believe not his writings, I should believe my word. Shalom, Brother Harris. So praise be to Yahuah. We had a little mishap on Wednesday, so the trap didn't open. But clearly that was Yahuah as well, so let Yahuah be praised nonetheless. But we back at it. And well, you know what? I hadn't had a song narrowed down. I still got to finish the ones that were proffered to me. And that we will do. But as of right now, I think we'll just we'll do the back end of Psalms 141. And so let me do that now. But you can get you Psalms 137 while we come on here in the back end of this Psalms 141. I want you to pick this up at verse 8 in Psalms 141. That's how we're going to take this and roll this into Psalms 137. Dissect it. Make it do what it do. And thank the Lord. Thanks. Manifested out the word. But Yahuah is faithful and he's just. So let his name be esteemed in all things. Let's roll. Psalms 141 verse 8. But my eyes are unto you, O Yahuah the Lord, and you is my trust. Leave not my soul destitute. We talked about that, a destitute. It escapes me right now in my memory. Go and refresh that real quick. Like, keep me from the snares which they have laid for me in the gins of the workers of iniquity. Let the wicked fall into their own nets, wherewithal I escape. So, of course, you know, the wicked try to get you caught up in a lot of things. When we look at destitute, of course, you know that is to be naked, robbed. Don't make me naked or strip me bare. Naked or strip me bare. Now, of course, I mentioned this here, I guess, on Prophet Nahum, chapter 1, I believe, is what I desire. No, it's chapter 3. Chapter 3 of Nahum is what I desire. Nahum chapter 3 and verse 1. Nahum chapter 3 and verse 1. Woe to the bloody city, it is full of lies and robbery, the prey depart. Now I want you to understand, Nahum is prophesying about Nineveh, if you are unaware. For those of you who do not know what we're talking about, all you have to do is swing over here to the prophet Nahum chapter 1, verse 1. It's been a long time since we done swum around here. You'll see that this is the burden of Nineveh that he saw for them. So I just want you to know this is who he's talking about. But of course, this can be in regards to a few other things, of which you will see in a moment. So we say that that city is bloody. It's full of lies. It's full of robbery. I just want you to pause and take a moment. First thing first, with robbery, it's correct. That's parting of ways, a breaking in upon, and of course, plunder and crossroads. So really, when you're looking at robbery in this instance, it's more so an aspect of a fork in the road. A fork in the road. Individuals have a decision. When we were discussing about what was going on with the prophet Elijah, and he said, how long will you halt between two opinions? So what you see in this bloody city is you have a lot of double-minded individuals who telling a lot of lies. Of course, that is kakash, or lying or deception that is going on. More importantly, hypocrisy. With that being said, with the hypocrisy, come over here to Job chapter 20, if my memory serves me correctly. Job chapter 20. Let's make sure that Job 20, what I desire. Yes, yes, it is. You can pick this up at verse 1 of Job chapter 20. We are holding Psalms 137. And we are currently in Nahum, the 3rd chapter. And once again, let Yahuah be esteemed. Job chapter 20, verse 1. Then answered Zophar the Naamathite and said, therefore do my thoughts cause me to answer, and for this I make haste. I have heard the check of my reproach, and the ruach of my understanding calls me to answer. I just want you to pause. I want you to think about what he's saying here, because he really talking greasy out his mouth. But we're not going to deal with the fact that he really talking greasy, because he's responding back to Job and what Job said in the 19th chapter. But a statement that he makes, that his thoughts cause him to answer. When we look at thoughts being caused to answer, this is what you have to sit back and look at and see again. This takes us back to the crossroad in this Sa'eth, Samak, Ayin, Pei, and Hey. And it means ambivalence, division, or a divided opinion. So he's letting you know that a divided opinion is causing him to answer. This is an individual who doesn't know what he's talking about. I want you to sit back. I want you to just sit back and pause right here, right? Instead of sitting here knowing, he said a divided opinion. And I know the definition of ambivalence, but not the meaning off the top of my head where I can convey it to you to where you can completely understand, because it's basically meaning uncaring. Or, there we go. Mixed feelings, contradictory ideas about something or someone. And this is what he said he caused him to answer. And you know, that's funny. What?
I said, what am I thinking about? It's weird.
Oh. So think about that for a moment, because I see that all the time, that people have mixed feelings or contradictory answers. Of course, all of you know that in the epistle of James, he told you to be not double-minded, if you ask him anything of the Lord, to ask in faith and not wavering, because a double-minded man is unstable. Now, this is an individual who's saying that his thoughts have caused him to answer. And again, this is another example why it is good for you to look and see what it actually is being conveyed, because what actually being conveyed is going to give you, shalom, brother Reynolds, is going to give you another understanding of what is actually being said. This man is saying, I have contradictory and divided opinions on what I'm speaking. Now, I'm going to tell you something as a man. If you have a divided opinion, if you have contradictory thoughts, you need to keep those thoughts to yourself. You know what I'm saying? You shouldn't, and when I mean to keep them to yourself, you should not speak on a manner as if you have authority if you are conflicted in your brain. Unfortunately, in this present time in society, too many people speak in this instance where you have a divided opinion. When you have a divided opinion, you can't actually have an opinion because you're not firm in either situation or circumstance. At that point, you're just talking. For most people, that's what most people do. You're just talking. Nevertheless, this is an individual who says that they have experienced and grab hold to the word of the man with raised arms, but yet they have a divided opinion. Let's sit back and look at something in John chapter 7, if I'm not mistaken. John chapter 7, you can pick it up at verse 37 on general principle. Mother, you need to drink more plants. That's what the bottle says. You drink more plants. See? Can you read that? That's not say drink more plants. Yes. Would you like to drink more plants?
Like the water, so spring water comes from plants?
Spring water comes from the spring. In that last day, the great day of the feast, Yahushua stood and cried, saying, if any man thirst, let him come unto me and drink. He that believe on me, as the scripture hath said, out of his belly shall flow rivers of living water. But this spake he of the Ruach, which they that believe on him should receive, for the Ruach HaKadosh was not yet given, because that Yahushua was not yet esteemed. Many of the people, therefore, when they heard this saying, said of a truth, this is the prophet. Others said, this is the Mashiach, but some said, shall the Mashiach come out of Galilee? Have not the scripture said that Mashiach come of the seed of David out of the town of Bethlehem where David was? So there was division among the people because of him, and some of them would have taken him, but no man laid hands on him. Then came the officers of the chief priests and Pharisees, and they said unto him, why have you not brought him? The officers answered, never man spake like this man. Then answered them the Pharisees, are you also deceived? Have any of the rulers or the Pharisees believed on him? But this people who know not the law are cursed. Nicodemus said unto them, he that come to Yahushua by night, being one of them, do our Lord judge any man before it hear him and know what he do? They answered and said unto him, are you also of Galilee? Search and look, for out of Galilee rise no prophet. Every man went into his own house. Now we looked at all of that because the man who's speaking, again, and this is Zophar, if I'm not mistaken, Job's friend, he had a divided opinion on if Job was a righteous man or was he being paid back for some manner of wickedness. You see the same thing happening here, that the people have a divided opinion, and their divided opinion caused them to answer, and that is what caused them to make haste. You look at that making haste, that means that's kush, that means they hurry. They move too quickly. And that's usually what happens when people have divided opinions. You move when you should not move, which means you have not made Yahuah your trust. Therefore, he will leave your soul naked. For the simple fact that your opinion is divided because you are wavering, you don't have a trust in him or in his word, and therefore you do things that you ought not to do. This is a cautionary tale because we know what ended up happening with Job's friends. They were reprimanded by Yahuah himself. They didn't speak rightly like Job did, and if it wasn't for Job, Yahuah was not going to accept him. The only way he would accept him was through Job. That individual would say that you don't need a mediator. Oh, no. There was no manner of repentance those men could have done to have been accepted. Yahuah had already stated, I'm not taking them. For those of you who do not know that, come look at Job 42 so you can see that for yourself. Job 42 and 7. And it was so that after Yahuah had spoken these words unto Job, Yahuah said unto Eliphaz the Temanite, my wrath is kindled against you and against your two friends. You have not spoken of me the thing that is right, as my servant Job has. Now, the thing that is not there. He just said you haven't spoken of me right. He plainly stated that these men did not speak of him in a correct fashion. Now just sit back and think about that. I want you to pause and think on that. How many people are out here who are talking and they're not speaking of Yahuah in the correct fashion? Now, in that one there, when it said to speak of the thing that is right, that's kun that is there. They have not spoken of him where they have directed it aright or arranged or properly ordered their words or established the words that they spoke of him. And he was offended by it. I just want you to understand that, because a lot of individuals take off and say a lot of things about this man, and this man sitting in heaven offended because you're not speaking of him in an established fashion. He did not establish you to speak. You ain't arranging and ordering your words in the proper fashion. And you think that man supposed to be cool with it because you waking up the law sheet. Whole time when you're doing it, you don't realize you're doing it because you got a divided opinion. Nevertheless, let's continue. So Eliphaz the Temanite, Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamathite went and did according as Yahuah commanded him. Yahuah also accepted Job. He wouldn't take them, boy. Straight up and down. Oh, I missed a verse. I'm sorry. I skipped right over verse 8. That's my apologies. Verse 8. Therefore, take unto you now 7 bullocks and 7 rams, and go to my servant Job, and offer up yourselves a burnt offering, and my servant Job shall pray for you. For him will I accept, lest I deal with you after your folly, and that you have not spoken of me the thing which is right, like my servant Job. Oh, no. And I want you to pay attention to that. He said, I'm not accepting you. He said, I accept Job, but I don't fool with you. He said, the only way that I'm going to accept you is through Job. When you look at accept, it's a word that you know. That's nasah. That's to lift up, bear up, carry, or to take. So Job is the one who is going to be able to bear the iniquity of these men. That sounds familiar to all of you, and you all know it. It also sounds familiar what you know, which is in Hebrews 7, that this man make intercession on your behalf, and that he was the one lifted up to carry your sin. Them boys couldn't carry this. They couldn't make an offering to get themselves accepted. There was no manner of repentance of which they could make to get themselves accepted. He had already stated, I don't fool with you. I accept Job. I don't fool with you. He said, now, lest I deal with you after your folly. And of course, when you look at folly, that is never law. That's something that is senseless and disgraceful. A contumely disgrace. Now, why they disgrace themselves? Because they have committed a crime. A crime, if they committed, have spoken a word which was not right in the eyesight of Yahuah. This is also another example of what Yahushua told you, that you will give account for every idle word that you have spoken. See, the word justifies itself. Nobody else needs to do it. Nobody else needs to do it. And again, to speak right is kun, and y'all already know what that is. We just mentioned that. Come on back over here to Job chapter 20. See, all this is mentioned because I seen the video earlier, and Derek had mentioned it where Brother Judah mentioned talking about Tommy Sotomayor, Kwame Brown, Kevin Samuels, how all they getting all. Well, Tommy Sotomayor been doing this thing for at least 8 years that I know of. Sloan man that I know of, because I've been seeing him a long time ago. You know what I'm saying? But what ends up happening, and I just told somebody this earlier today. A lot of young men are out here, they don't have any guidance, and most Black people are looking for someone to lead them. You have someone of very strong personalities, maybe a little bit of charisma, who has views that are different from the norm. It rallies young men. And because most people get caught up in the cult of personality, get caught up in charisma, it's not that they necessarily, okay, boy, that's a real cat. Boy, I agree with what he's talking about. Dudes start becoming fans and New Jack swinging on another man's nuts. You know what I'm saying? This is what ends up happening. Now, there's been made the point of, is this an inkling of leading up to the man of sin, how individual can get caught up in this here? Because you just seen that with Brown. Dudes around here going crazy about this man over just 2 weeks of him talking. And the man had been talking like this on his channel for a good long season. It's no different than, say, with Kevin Samuels. That man had been talking like that for a long season until one video went viral, and that brought other people's attention. So then you have to sit back and look at how are people going, because Judah made a point, which I've been telling you word-wise, you should always have your soul prepared for this. What are you going to do when you say something and the people who loved you don't agree with it and they don't love you anymore? See, Yahushua had told us one thing in particular. He had told every single last one of us that when men separate you from their company and cast your name as evil, for my name's sake, rejoice, for your name is written in heaven. See, a lot of us don't like to deal with that fact. I see that goes back to the divided opinion. That's why I mentioned it. Because, see, now Judah said something which I've been telling you for years. See, I thank the Lord. See, we down with the plug, the source. See, one thing about Kwame Brown, Kevin Samuels, and Tommy Sotomayor, and I be telling this all the time, man. We catch the dudes, man. Them dudes say real stuff, and at the end of the day, them 3 niggas got one thing in common: they all sinners. So we don't hold them in no high regard. Then on top of that, we don't hold no man in no high regard, because at the end of the day, we don't look at a man any above that which is written. If a man's a servant of Yahuah, we pray that Yahuah keep him strong, that he may serve him in the fashion where Yahuah has appointed him to serve him. See, the problem is niggas be fans. And a man should never be a fan of another man. You know what I'm saying? That makes absolutely no sense. You can acknowledge and respect the abilities that a man has, but to be a fan of another man, nigga, that's gay. And not gay like it's lame. I mean gay like it's nigga, that's gay. You know what I'm saying? That is gay. Why are you a fan of another man? Nigga, how can your wife respect you and you a fan of another man? How can your son look at you and say, this is my daddy, and you the fan of another man? You know what I'm saying? You're using a man's penis for handlebars because you're riding on his nuts. It makes absolutely no sense. You know what I'm saying? That's the society. That's why you got niggas out here groupies. These niggas be around here sweating men, celebrities, harder than the women do. It's a sad state of affairs. You only be a fan of one man. And that's the man who did something that no other man could have done. And that conquered death. Ain't got no business being no fan of no man who gonna stand before the same throne you gonna stand for. That makes absolutely no sense. And I had to tell an individual that, like, bro, it's not a serious, like, nigga, that nigga's a sinner, bro. That nigga's a sinner. So at the end of the day, his words don't hold no weight because he ain't giving out no words, or his words are not ruach and they ain't life because he ain't speaking the words that make a lie. He's speaking the words that profit nothing. Yeah, that's gonna be some good stuff. It be some real stuff. We ain't gonna, just to know that these dudes ain't saying some real stuff, but that's natural stuff. Them boys speaking in not words of life. Those who have the words of life abiding in them have enough understanding to know that and to take that as what it is. But people go too far. And the reason why people go too far, because people like polarizing figures. Black people don't even pay attention until somebody says something controversial anyway. So you're not going to pay attention anyway. And those two men are an example of that. When I say Tommy Sotomayor been Tommy Sotomayor for years. That nigga ain't switched, he ain't changed, he ain't did none of that. That nigga has been the same. You know what I'm talking about? That nigga's been the same. But Kevin Samuels and Kwame Brown, they've been the same too. Nobody was paying attention. Nobody was paying attention to a horse mouth lady got called average at best, and everybody got in their feelings. Nobody wasn't paying attention to Kwame Brown until he went to talking about Stephen Jackson, Stephen A. Smith, and Matt Barnes. You wasn't paying attention. You didn't care because he wasn't saying anything that was going to get your attention. That's why people assume when somebody says something, they're doing it for clout and attention. That's the sad state of the world that we live in. And we think that everything that a man does is for attention. That means we have delved in a society that believes men operate like women. And they do everything for attention. Versus I'm going to say what I got to say because I can say it. And I don't care about you whole niggas. I'm going to say what I want to say, when I want to say it, to whom I want to say it, when I want to say it, how I want to say it. And I don't care how you feel about it. That's why people are drawn to that, because there's not many men in the earth that do that anymore. Majority of men in the earth are very weak. Most men don't like to rock the boat. They don't like to hurt people's feelings, and they don't like to be disliked or shunned. So they tread lightly and watch their words. See, somebody said something. I seen a video lady said, well, if Kevin Samuels was talking about white people, he would have been canceled. See, I'm only mentioning that because it said that in the regard of Kwame Brown. See, you can't cancel somebody who does not work for the machine. See, when people talk about cancel culture, that means you have to be a part of mainstream media. You have to be deriving some manner of income from these people. You have to be in their pockets. You have to be down with them in order to be canceled. If you're an independent individual, no one can cancel you. How can they stop you? They can't stop you. All that just goes to show when people say that, the fear that they have for the mob, and not the mob per se, but the people who stoke the flames of the mob. So I'm just trying to get your mind entailed to what's going to happen. Because in these days and times, if you will see fit, some of you men you're gonna put words in your mouth. His spirit upon you and words in your mouth to say certain things that will he be esteemed and are going to offend people. And you have to have the spiritual fortitude to be prepared for that. You got to have the spiritual fortitude to be prepared for that. Because the very people who cheering you on and loving you now, they're going to despise you and they're going to kind of slander you and call you all manner of things to your face, all because you stood up and said what was right. So I just want you to be prepared for that, because that's how the world works. The world, especially black men, the world don't like black men who going to stand up and tell the truth. And tell it unapologetically. See, people want you to lift them up, which we know love builds. But the thing is what do you want built? What foundation are you seeking to be built? See, the world don't know. Our people, let's not say the world. Let's just put it at what it is. Black people in America, specifically, no longer have a desire to build upon the words of the living Elohim. They no longer have a desire to be built upon a chief cornerstone. They don't desire to do it anymore. They feel the word is obsolete, and that if God was real, why hasn't he came and gotten us yet? Why has he left us here with these people? These people have checked out. You have to understand that these people done checked out. I ain't even talking about people bruised. I'm talking about black people in general. They done checked out. They're not rolling with this anymore. They feel like it serves no purpose. They feel like it's stifling and oppressing to them. See, we want to go by this fantasy that we done painted in our head that everybody love the word and all we got to do is bring them the word. People hate God and they hate him with a passion. I've known this for years. I hope y'all know it. See, y'all get caught up on what people say. You better look at what they do. These people hate this man. They despise him to the depths of their soul. Now, he's told us this, but we think it's a game. Because people don't have no love in their heart for this man. Because they feel like what he engenders as a standard and a way of living is oppressive, stagnant, and passe. Why you have so many people with what? A divided opinion. Let's continue back in Job chapter 20. I will read verse 2 one more time. Therefore do my thoughts cause me to answer, and for this I make haste. I have heard the check of my reproach, the walk of my understanding cause me to answer. When we look at check, right, it's Musar. So you know what that is. He said he has heard the correction of his disgrace. And the ruach of his understanding is what caused him to speak. Now you could pause and you could think about that in regards to Yahushua. The correctioning of his disgrace. Now you know this man was put to an open shame. Him being put to an open shame is what caused him to answer against his enemies, which we dealt with about a week or so ago. But we don't have to delve into that too deeply because we just did that briefly. But I just want you to pause for a moment to think about that. A man who has a divided opinion. You know what? We can switch that up and add something else to that. Let me ask y'all a question. Verse 2. Therefore, my thoughts or my divided opinion cause him to answer, and for this he moves hastily. Who can see how that relates to Mashiach and his sufferings? Can anybody tell me how this relates to Mashiach and his suffering? And also adding in verse 3 that he heard the correction of his disgrace and the ruach of his understanding is what caused him to answer. Don't everybody rush at one time. I wish this was like a Zoom call. Because then I just click on your name. I can't do that on here. Yes, I am aware. Thank you for sharing. Anybody got any idea how verses 2 and 3 relates to Yahushua suffering? And of course, it's going to relate to what's in Psalms 141, which is Yahuwah is your trust. Don't leave my soul naked. Sir? Yes, sir. Just think, because some of this stuff is even. I may pause because I want you to think. I want you to assess. I want you to reflect. I want you to consider. So that happens. Just understand that's why that's happening. And bear with me on that. But yes, verse 2, where he states that his divided opinion has caused him to answer, and he hasted and to answer because of that divided opinion. And that he has heard the correction, the discipline of his disgrace, and the ruach of his understanding calls him to answer. And what regards in Matthew 26, brother Randall? Cooperstown. Anybody else? Brother Reynolds mentioned Matthew 26. I want to see how Brother Reynolds feels about Matthew 26. And then, yeah. 36 through 46. Let me take this. Get himself down, and then how he responded. That's interesting. I can dig it. Yes, I can dig that, Brother Reynolds, because that's what I was thinking about. But I can dig that too, Darius. Let's look at this here, right, in the 36th chapter, Matthew 26. We'll just set it up at the top half, but it's really more at the bottom that we're looking for. Say, then come Yahushua with them into the place called Jessamine to say unto his disciples, sit you here while I go pray yonder. He took with him Peter and the two sons of Zebedee and began to be sorrowful and very heavy. Then he said unto them, my soul is exceeding sorrowful, even unto death. Tarry you here and watch with me. He went a little further and fell on his face and prayed, saying, oh, my Abba, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me. See, this divided opinion right here has caused him to speak hastily. But because he has heard the check or the chastening of his disgrace, the ruach of his understanding has caused him to answer, which is nevertheless, not as my will, but as you will. See that when you sit back and you look at it, right? Now, why is this important? Pause. I'm gonna go ahead and do it like this here. Come over here to Romans chapter 7. Because now we can look at a divided opinion in a different fashion. We could pick it up at 7 and 13. After that, Galatians 5. Romans 7 and 13. Was then that which is good made death unto me? Elohim forbid. But sin that it might appear sin working death in me by that which is good, that sin by the commandment might become exceeding sinful. For we know that Torah is spiritual, but I am carnal, sold under sin. For that which I do allow, I allow not. For what I would, that do I not. But that what I hate, that do I. Then I do that which I would not. I consent to Torah that it is good. Now there is no more I that do it, but the sin that dwell in me. For I know that in me that is in my flesh dwell no good thing. For to will is present with me. But how to perform that which is good I find not. For the good that I would, I do not. But the evil which I would not, that I do. Now, if I do that I would not, it is no more I that do it, but the sin that dwell in me. I find then a law that when I would do good, evil is present with me. On that one, with haste on that one, because he didn't have a divided opinion. I see why you would reference that, only because he didn't have a divided opinion. Because he said his thoughts caused him to answer. Yahushua was pretty firm in his answers to where there was no contradictory or feelings or thoughts in that regard. But upon when he was preparing to suffer, he had contradictory thoughts. He had a thought of, if it was possible, let it pass, but let his Father's will be done, because part of him wanted to do it and part of him didn't. And in that regard, he made haste and he spoke hastily. Praise Yahuah for the word first and foremost. Let's look at the next thing. He say, for I delight in the law of Elohim after the inward man. But I see another law of my members warring against the law of my mind, bringing me into the captivity to the law of sin, which is in my members. O wretched man that I am, who shall deliver me from the body of this death? I thank Elohim through Yahushua HaMashiach our Lord. So then with the mind I myself serve the law of Elohim, but with the flesh the law of sin. Now, you serve the law of sin by dying. He served that and ministered that by being willing to perish. A lot of individuals ain't willing to do that. A lot of individuals would have with the conflicted thought. But what we see in this regard is what? He said he heard the check of his reproach. Oh, thank the Lord, because the lights definitely did dip over here. And I just got this notification. I just say it is a power outage. And then that didn't even pop up. Oh, well. So, of course, you got heard. So you have Shema. So he listened and obeyed to the discipline or the chastening. You understand? He listened and obeyed to that. That's why he said, not my will, but your will, because the chastening was that he had to be hung from that tree. Even with the divided opinion, which caused him to make haste, what did he say? The ruach of my understanding caused him to answer, because he listened and obeyed to what he was being disciplined about. Remember, chasten your son while there's hope. His chastening was for our life. So therefore, he listened to that. That's what allows him to answer. See, a lot of individuals, what is that chastening? He tell you to take up that stake and follow him. So therefore, the ruach that is in you should cause you to answer. This is why he tells you that do not meditate on what you're going to say, because the ruach HaKodesh will give you what you ought to say in that moment. Because you're going to listen and to obey to the chastening or to the stake, and that ruach of understanding in you, that is what is going to come out of your mouth. See, most individuals, we're going to look at this and we'll just disregard it. But what we're looking at in this regard is not only just being double-minded, but we're also looking at the battle of the flesh and the ruach. See, come over here to Galatians 5. Now, see, when we see what having a divided opinion is, Yahushua went with the ruach and did that which he ought to do. Most individuals go with the flesh. Word. Well, shoot, let me know, Dab. It ain't slowing down on this end. Or unless you talk about the power, because the lights did, they flickered for a moment. Praise the Lord. He made sure the trap was going to be open. 5 and 13, if you would. For brethren, you have been called to freedom, only use not that freedom for an occasion to the flesh, but by love serve one another. For all the law is fulfilled in one word, even this, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. But if you bite and devour one another, take heed that you be not consumed one of another. This I say then, walk in the ruach, that you shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. For the flesh lusts against the ruach, and the ruach against the flesh, and these are contrary that one to the other, so that you cannot do the things that you would. So why is that important? Because if you're led by the ruach, that means you're listening to the chastening. You're willing to obey the discipline. Remember, he said, if you be without chastening, then you're a bastard and not a son. Let's return to Job 20. Listen what he says, right? Because this is what we came here for. Know you not this of old, since man was placed upon the earth, the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment. Let me tell you this to you again. Triumphing. Renana, a word that you should know. That means a shout for joy. That means that they're not going to be singing for joy for long. Short here is karav, and that just calls simple time and place. Also can mean kinsfolk. He said, but the joy of the hypocrite is but for a moment. When we look at moment, it is regard, very short space of time. But let's look at hypocrite, because you know, actors at one time in the English definition were called hypocrites. Hypocrite by definition means an actor. He's a liar, somebody who's playing a role, someone who's playing pretend. See, you always know when you're dealing with a hypocrite because they'll have the need to purport themselves to be something other than who they are. See, a lot of times an individual wants a person to be a hypocrite because most people are used to dealing with people who are not authentically themselves. That's why some of those content creators, see, it's different now. We live in a different world. See, now you can have some sort of fame and celebrity and not be on television. See, now, this very thing that we're doing right now. See, now you can go live on your phone. You can go live on your laptop, on whatever social media platform that you choose to do, and you can gather a following, and you can make a good amount of money if you're good at it and you're smooth with it. And you can develop an audience and become famous and influence. They literally call it a social media influencer. So then you have to ask yourself, what is this person trying to influence you to? The other people, they're called content creators. And now individuals, because creating content is a little bit more personal than someone on a television show or in a movie, because you can interact with the content creator. You can interact with on the chat with these people. You can go on Instagram, you can be brought into their live. You can be brought into their live on Facebook and whatever other avenues that people use, because I do not use all the avenues that are available unto men in these days and times. So you have to think about that. That's why individuals have such strong feelings, because the individual people hear something, they be like, oh, this person think he this or that, when the average person don't even purport themselves to be anything other than what they are. It's because individuals create a cult of personality and put people on pedestals and give them expectations that they can never meet, and then call them this, that, and the third because they don't meet them. But you created those expectations. Now, that nigga wasn't a great ball player, but that's the point of the whole Kwame Brown situation, where some people in sports media say they no longer call players busts, because they say they don't call them busts anymore, because whose fault is it that you came up with these expectations? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? See, the only person who should have had an expectation is the organization who selected said player to fit into the expectations that they had for said player and whatever system or whatever they had going on in the organization. See, one of the biggest downfalls of many people is you place expectations on people and then get upset when they do not meet them. Mm-hmm. See, we're not talking about expectations according to their given role, because people put people on pedestals. Mm-hmm. That person is never going to meet that. And you're blaming that person for something that you made up in your brain. That's your fault. See, we're not talking about doing your duties. See, that's for that one there, that's not even a reason. That's not even an expectation. That's your duty. That's the whole service of man. That's your reasonable service. See, we're not talking about according to the responsibilities of the role that you play. Because if you look at a professional athlete, his role is to come, to practice, and to play. Mm-hmm. Now, whether he plays at a high level or a low level, that's a different conversation. You get hired at a company, your job is is to do your job. Now, whether you do your job at a high level or a low level, you still met the duty of what your job required. You just may not have been the best at it. You may have not have been exceptionally good at it. See, when you turn around and you look at the word of Yahuah, he has an expectation, and his expectation is the same for everyone, and that is to believe and to obey. That is not an expectation and again, that's not even an expectation. That's your duty. Mm-hmm. That's your duty. See, we get expectations and duties confused, which is part of what this nigga whole conversation is about. But you know what? You know what's one thing about black people? See, the only thing that black people like to pay attention to? See, we only want to pay attention that he called a nigga Becky with the good hair. Mm-hmm. That's all you're going to pay attention to. Yeah, he's saying all that. If you're a man, you know why he's saying it. He feel like these are whole niggas. So I don't owe these whole niggas the common courtesy and respect due to a man. Ain't no man calling another man Becky with the good hair. You just called this nigga a white woman. You know what? Most of y'all know what song that come from. Some of you niggas listen to this bald-headed skank hole on a regular basis.
A piece right here.
That's disrespectful. Any of your men on here who consider yourself to be a man know full well, you're not going to say nothing disrespectful about a man whom you respect or whom you deem worthy as being considered a man. And see, that's what we get caught up on. Because, see, we like the jokes and the funny stuff and this, that, and the third. And we don't pay attention to the real stuff of what an individual is actually saying. And it's unfortunate that we have to do all that to get an individual to pay attention. That's why dudes do all the stuff they got to do with the word to try to get people to pay attention. Let me do some food giveaways, or let me do this, or let me do that. Let me do something to get you to pay attention because they already feel like the raw information on its own ain't enough. I've been told I ain't coming with no gimmicks. I ain't got to rank on those niggas. I ain't got to mention no other organizations and this, that, and the third. If the word ain't gonna do for you, it ain't gonna get done. But let's continue. I'm finishing Galatians 5. Very well then. The word for hypocrite is kanaf. It's hypocritical. It's an individual who is godless, an individual who is profane. You already know what profane is, also meaning soiled with sin. You're soiled. You got this kanaf, you got Ka, Noon, and Pei. That's somebody who's been separated from the words of life. Oh, no. A hypocrite is an individual who has been separated from the words of life. There's nothing that they can do that is going to cause themselves to be able to become one with that. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Just sit there and pay attention to that. What were we at before? Nahum chapter 3. Three and 1. Oh, it says born to bulk, little muffin. It says born to bulk. I can't help that my medallion's in the way. It's an ice cream cone carrying a boom box and a box of pizza. Right, that's what it says. That's what it says. That's what's on there, little muffin. It's an ice cream cone with a boom box and a box of pizza, and he is born to bulk. No, not you. My muffin. The muffin who doesn't like for me to call her muffin or anyone else. She'll be muffin until I'm dead. On the other hand, are probably going to get up and call me muffin. My name's Ariel. Well, thank you, muffin. Thank you. Yes, good old dirty bulk. Back to Nahum chapter. So remember, we're talking about woe to the city, to the bloody city that's full of lies and robbery. And of course, we're talking about that correct. That's that breaking a crossroads, a splitting, double-mindedness. When you have that double-mindedness or the battle of the flesh and the ruach, that's where lies can come in at. We didn't read it in Romans 7, but the lies come in because you believe that sin ain't gonna kill you. See, when Yahushua said, okay, the check of my reproach or the discipline of my disgrace allow the ruach of my understanding to cause me to answer, he's sitting back understanding. If I go with this flesh, I'm gonna perish. I got to lean to the ruach in order to live. See, this is a big mistake that a lot of individuals, that's why he's praying, don't leave my soul naked. Give me a garment, lest they see my shame. And we ended with that last week with Adam, when we read that in Revelation. A lot of individuals ain't got any garment, your shame being seen. People see you naked. You got your business in the street, your genitals out, your nipples are showing. And we think that's a game, but you exposed. Every day we walk around here, you're not covered with the ruach, you exposed. Because if you ain't covered with the ruach, I mean, you ain't covered with the word. I mean, your sins are out there to be seen and to be had. It's not a game. It's not a joke. You want to cover up you want to do it. See, and the difference is, and we talked about this in the past, it's been a minute. I don't think I referenced this when we talked about this on Saturday. Adam then went to cover up their own sin by their own hand. Remember, they went and sold them fig leaves to cover themselves with. See, that's what most of us try to do. You try to cover up your sins with your own hand. Elohim had to come here and say, let me make you a coat of flesh, coat of skins, and cover you up. Because you can't cover your sin. He got to cover it. See, that go back to the instance of what happened with Job's friends. They weren't going to be accepted. You got to be accepted by the man who was hated. Man who was hated without a cause. That was Job. They mean he was hated. His friends were hating on him. They were hating on him, saying, you got to be wicked, boy. Because if you wasn't wicked, this wouldn't be happening to you. See, that's the same stuff that go on now to this day, and people don't even get in the word. Well, what you drinking on? Like, that's a whole lot of juice, baby.
I have 3 bottles. All sugar.
No, this is not all sugar. Let that be known. Ain't no sugar in here. This all plants. Don't disrespect my gangster like that. And just so you can know.
So there's no sugar in those plants.
This has no sugar in it. 0.
Okay.
0. And so you know. This is Chandra berry, goji berry, ginger root, spearmint, rose petal, orange peel, tulsi leaf and flower, Korean ginseng, and cardamom pods. You know what I'm saying? You need to drink more plants.
I heard that already.
Yeah. Hold on.
One drink. One shut
Oh, yeah, no problem. This one here, total sugar. This is no little kombucha. You already know what this is. This is a little tea. A little fermented tea.
You said all that. Like, I poured a lot of this.
16 grams. And, of course, this is good old this for my heart. Because this is all citrulline in here, baby. All citrulline and potassium. I got high blood pressure. Nigga don't want me to live. That nigga want me to live long enough so she can get insurance policy and skate to Aruba.
The slander. The slander.
To Aruba.
I had to do all that. I'm working too.
Yes, sir. You can definitely say that, son. I don't know now. You look like a killer. Nigga over here trying to kill me, man. It's all good. It is all good. Where I was at. If I was rudely interrupted by this nigga, all her juice. Come over here to verse 2 of Nahum chapter 3. The noise of a whip and the noise of the rattling of wheels and of the prancing of horses and the jumping of chariots. The horsemen lift up both the bright sword and the glittering spear, and there's a multitude of slain, a great number of carcasses. There's none end of their corpses. They stumble upon their corpses. Now, what does that sound like to you? I'll tell it to you again, the noise of a whip, the noise of the rattling of the wheels, of the prancing of horses, and the jumping of chariots. When you got rattling here, of course, that's ra'ash. That is a rattling, a shaking, a quaking. Niggas a little scared, a little earthquake. They're a little nervous. They get a little nervous sometimes. That's what it say. Y'all know wheels is. That's self-explanatory. And the prancing of horses, gallop, indeed. But not even just the end. That sounds like his return. Look what he said. The horseman lifted up both the bright sword and the glittering spear. War horse. Cavalry collectively. A driver in a chariot. Indeed, sir. And that's Parash, Pei, Rosh, and Shan. The word of Elohim is coming to consume. The horseman, he lifts up the bright sword and the glittering spear. And there's a multitude of slain, a great number of carcasses, no end of corpses. You're going to stumble upon corpses. Verse 4, why? Because of the multitude of the whoredoms of the well-favored harlot, the mistress of witchcraft that sell nations through her whoredoms and families through her witchcraft. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. It's a lot of dog, back, maggot, slut hoes out here who participating in witchcraft. See, we ain't got no love for no witches because you ain't supposed to suffer a witch to live. You supposed to stomp on that funky whole neck. That ain't no woman. You got hoes out here proud to be a witch. You ain't nothing to be proud of. Don't you know when you come with witchcraft, you usually come with a slut hoe? You better come back and read some history and see a lot of the women who were witches were whores. See, we let that stuff slide. And they said the multitude of whoredoms, the well-favored harlot. She got grace. I just seen a clip of a dude killed himself because his lady cheated on him. His stupid nigga done went and raped her, kidnapped the woman and raped her, and then drove off and killed himself while the police was after. You should have let that funky hoe go. Because guess what she finna be doing? Bobbing for apples on the next man while you in the grave. You in the grave dead. They ain't finna stop her from hoeing. Of course, that's Kashef when it comes to witchcraft and sorcery. Magic. You got Kaf, Shan, and Pei. One thing about these old funky witches, all they trying to do is consume and subdue the word because they don't want you to follow it. They don't want you to follow it. Man, you don't want to be caught up with no woman who deal with no witchcraft, man. That's some vagina that you just need to go ahead and pass on. You need to get that woman out your presence. She's going to ruin your life. She's going to suck every bit of godly energy up out of you. She's going to leave you as a shell of your former self. Leave that woman alone. Don't go for the shaming tactics. Don't listen to these funky hoes talking about crystals in the Bible. The men wasn't using them crystals for what these hoes using it for. See, look at the stones in the breastplate. That man wasn't using that for what you using it for. That was for flyness. Let that be known. That means they put these precious stones in this breastplate to represent the house of Yasharal, because I want my high priest with the flyest of garments on. These my precious stones. This my earth. I want them to have the best of the best. Don't you be lying on this man talking about they were using crystal for what you using it for. That man ain't put that on for no healing. You don't need none of that. See, come over here to Deuteronomy 18 so we can go ahead and let the word of Yahuah crack these funky dog back hoes across their forehead around here telling these lies. Yeah, they ruthless, brother. Hey, you already know I know. The last thing you want to do is get caught up with a witch. All she going to do is try to subdue and consume that word up out of you. Yeah, I can roll with that there too, Monte. Shoot, she definitely trying to enter and devour what's been consumed because you're going to get consumed with your love, fooling with it. Remember, that's why Yahuah told you don't get caught up with a beauty, don't get taken by our eyelids. That's why he told you don't give your strength to no woman. Why he told you not to do that. A godly woman is the most beautiful thing you could ever encounter in the earth. That is a woman who understands her role as a helpmeet and to fear and honor and reverence her Father in heaven and serve her husband in like fashion. She's an inspiration, and she's full of cooperation, and she's full of love and nurturing and a nice companion. But a woman who ain't got no godliness in her and a woman who a witch, she ain't gonna do nothing but destroy your life. You leave that funky hoe alone. There's one thing about it, man. See, these women out here do what they do because you niggas keep fooling with them. If you stop giving them your attention and stop fooling with them, they would have to change their behavior. Why would they change their behavior when they know it's a simp around the corner that's gonna go for it? They have to. That's why people don't change their behavior with the word when they know there's another congregation, whether Hebrew or Christian, that's gonna go along with their folly. If they knew that everywhere they went, and nobody was going to co-sign and stamp none of the folly and foolishness that they were on, they have no other choice but to change their behavior and keep on down the path of destruction that they're on. You have to learn to say, nah, man, no. I don't care how good looking a woman is. I don't care how fat her booty is, how big her breasts are, how pretty her face is. None of that, man. If she's not with what it's supposed to be, man, just don't fool with her. These dudes be telling you to try to win these women up. Man, you ain't got to do all that, man. And truth be told, you ain't got to force no woman to, because if a woman ain't responding to you properly, that means you need to look at your masculinity and your godliness first and foremost. And if your godliness and masculinity don't point, that means that's just a rebellious harlot. Send her on her way. Don't be listening to these brews who be trying to tell you to conquer these women and win these women over and get them to submit. You can't get nobody to submit. You can't get somebody to yield to your authority and power. You can't force nobody to do that. That's slavery, nigga. Slaves don't have a choice. They're forced to obey. You can't force no woman to obey. Why would you even want to? That means she don't like you and she don't respect you. And you cool with that. That's what happens when you fool with a witch, because a witch gonna try to get you to go along with everything she got going on. 18:9, Deuteronomy. After that book of Acts, I'll show you where they burnt their curious hearts. They burnt them books. Witchcraft ain't nothing new now. Witchcraft ain't nothing new. These people been out here doing this stuff. Y'all think this is a new thing. It's just, guess what? These women in these days and times done jumped on it because they feel like the word oppressing them, i.e., I want to do what I want to do. And if I'm dealing with this, I can't do what I want to do. So they tell the men, oh, we got to get rid of the patriarchy. You misogynist, you sexist, and all that there. Don't go for the shaming. Just leave them alone. Now, you're right about that. And see, now that's something that he just stated, right? It could take him years to change if you stick around and help him. See, it's not your job to help that woman change. Because guess what? If the shoe was on the other foot, she ain't staying around to help you, my G. She's going to tell you that she's not a rehabilitation center for broken men. So you need to go ahead and give them the same energy. Because that's not your job. See, they'll turn around and tell you, you got to love the heart you didn't break and heal the person you didn't wound. No, that's not my job. Because in the process of doing that, you're going to drag me. You're going to suck all my masculinity out. And just like he said, then once you get to the point where you feel like you're stronger and now you see me as a weaker individual, you're going to leave me for another man. I will not. I will not. That's all good and fine, baby. Holler at me if you ever get your mind right. Maybe I'll be here, maybe I won't. See, that's what people feel like you're supposed to do. Only women feel like you're supposed to do that. And weak men, as a man, no, that's not no woman's job to help me heal and do this, that, and the third. What do you mean? You're not my mama. And man already know if you allow a woman in that type of space, she's going to see you as her child, not her leader. See, these are lies that young men get told out here. Then when they do this stuff, it don't backfire in their face, and they wondering what went wrong. You have to stop lying to them boys and telling them that stuff, man, because it don't work. You let a woman in, talking about let her be your healer. She's going to see you as her son. She is not going to see you as her leader. She'll never be able to see you as her leader because she's seeing you in a weakened position and she will not trust your ability to lead. She's not going to do it. She's not going to do it. They're not going to tell you that. I just would listen to a dude. It was funny. And D say Judge Joe Brown said the same thing. What they did, say they did a study on homosexuals, men and women, on what they was aroused by. And they say the women were the only one who were contradictory. Indeed, that is the definition of a succubus, truth be told, Sean. And it was like the women, what they tapped on and said they was, because they actually said they attached electrodes to the subject's genitals as they were trying to assess what got them aroused. And everything that the women say they were aroused by, they were not. And the things that they said they were aroused by, or everything that they weren't aroused by, they were. So it's the contradictory nature. They're going to tell you one thing, but they actually desire another. So they'll tell you, yes, I will love you and desire you if you do this, that, and the third. But when you do it, she will not desire you anymore. That's why you can't listen to them when it comes to things like that. They're not going to tell you the truth. This is why so many young men get confused, and then you perceive them as hating women, when in actuality, they don't really hate women. They hate themselves because they have believed the lies that because they're upset with themselves for believing the lies that they were told. See, most of the time when people be upset, they don't even really be upset with nobody but themselves, because they can't believe they believe the lie and put themselves out there to be ridiculed because they believe said lie. But see, it's a bold-faced lie. We didn't have this conversation as a group. Y'all do not find attractive the things that you say that you do. And we know this with women because the type of men they say they want, they pick the opposite. But most of the time, when you're younger, you don't pay attention to that. They pick the opposite. So you can't listen to them. You definitely can't listen to no woman tell you to be godly or to be a man. You can't listen to her. If there's things that you want to know like that, you need to go talk to men. You need to go see a man. Don't listen to them. That might sound harsh. It might sound dismissive. But all these women know, yeah, don't come talk to me about that. They want to talk about it because it makes them feel important. You know what I'm saying? But they don't really want you to come to that. This here just told me about a woman say, why it can't the man and the woman both lead? How is that even possible? How is that even possible? Because that was coming from the D Wade situation. My wife lead. But guess what, though? Niggas laughing at D Wade. I say probably about 60 to 70% of men in this country, they wife lead. They just won't come out and say it. They ain't proud of it. They ain't like him, a sweet booty nigga who wife tell him what to do. But it's a whole gang of men out here, boy, they wife lead them. And them niggas know it. And they know it. Well, that's not the way of Yahuah, boy. I know he's sitting in heaven looking at us like, look at that. I made y'all better than this here. You being led by the person I made to help you. What's wrong with you? How you don't have the fortitude to put your foot down and say, I will not? And have the ability to be cool with her departure. It might make you sad, it might make you upset, but you'll be like this here, but you got to go because I can't follow you. I can't follow you. I won't follow you. I cannot be ran by you. You're not finna run. I've told you that plenty of times before. The worst thing in life to see is a man who's being ran by a woman. That's a sad thing to see. And the worst part is, you want me to follow you, listen to you, obey you, but pay for everything and prove to you why you should be with me. And you ain't got to prove nothing to me. This sounds like a bad deal. This sounds like a bad deal. This don't sound like this nothing beneficial to me. I got to prove to you that you should let me take care of you and spend my resources and attention on you. And all you got to do is bat your eyes and open up your legs. Baby, your vagina ain't that special. Who told you your vagina was that special? It's not. Not for all that you demanded. See, that's how your forefather came to Yahuah. They felt like they were special. They felt like, who? We bring you bulls and goats. We show up every Sabbath, every night. You should bless us with a multitude of things. Then we'll serve you. Man, that's a bad deal. And that's why we over here looking at each other stupid, talking about what we do to heal the black family. That's why we over here looking stupid. That's why we over here looking stupid. Yeah, that's the one right there. That's the one. Y'all got to forgive me. That got red wine in it. That's got red wine in it. Deuteronomy 18:9. When you are coming to the land which Yahuah your Elohim give you, you shall not learn to do after the abominations of those nations. There shall not be found among you one that make his son or daughter pass through the fire, or that use divination, or observer of times, an enchanter, or a witch, or charmer, or consulter with familiar spirits, or wizard, or necromancer. For all that do these things are an abomination unto Yahuah. And because of these abominations, Yahuah your Elohim do drive them out from before you. You shall be perfect with Yahuah your Elohim. For these nations which you shall possess, hearken unto observers of times and unto diviners. But as for you, Yahuah your Elohim have not suffered you so. Now see, it say so to do. He said you ain't got to do all that. I just want you to look at some of these words here so you can understand. You got Elohim on your side. You ain't got to do this stuff these people out here doing. See, these women and these dudes who stamp this old trash. I told y'all about it because we see a nigga talking about, I know there's a divine mother with Yahuah. Man, that's whole niggas talk. And I hate these whole niggas out here with a passion because they enemies of Yahuah. Yeah, I said it. If you an enemy of my father, nigga, you an enemy of mine, nigga, and I hate you with a perfect hatred. Just like the words say. And these buster niggas out here, man, they out here on some other type of time, boy, and they ruining young men and destroying young girls because these girls ain't going to get the life and the protector and the provider that Yahuah has appointed them to have. Because ain't no man finna roll with that junk. You wonder why they want to talk about why they ain't got nobody to protect them and they in debt and they in poverty because ain't no man finna be joined to that crap. And dudes pandering to these women is out here messing them up. And what a point this woman gonna be out here by herself. And when it pop off, ain't nobody gonna stand up for her. Ain't nobody gonna swoop in and protect her from the mayhem and carnage that's gonna go on through the earth. Ain't nobody even gonna be able to direct her and guide her in the proper fashion that her soul may be delivered, because you setting these women up to be destroyed by pandering to their emotions, by trying to lift them up in a spot that they don't belong. And nobody want to talk about that. Because you worry about this woman feeling, man, fuck this woman feelings, her soul on the line. You don't care about her soul. You care about her feelings, but you don't care about her soul. Makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense. When we look at an observer of time, right? Of course, that's somebody who practices soothsaying, fortune telling. All these hoes out here messing with tarot cards. Man, you niggas crazy. The word part here, you niggas don't even know what you're fooling with. Niggas talking about they getting directed by dead people, praying to their ancestors. What type of nigga? Nigga, you's a necromancer, stupid. Nigga, what you praying to dead people for? Should not an individual seek to their Elohim than the dead? Why you looking for the dead? What can the dead do for you? There's no righteousness and salvation in the grave. Man, people crazy out here, man. Messing with witchcraft. That's what all that means, man. We ain't like this here, man. A witch. If you didn't know in Hebrew what a witch was, now that's Kasah. She like to practice sorcery. She's a sorceress. And guess what? Magic ain't what you think it is. But that's another conversation. When you deal with an enchanter, this is somebody who observes signs. They observe signs or omens. They like to practice fortune telling, practice divination, a charmer. Well, let me give you necromancer and we get out of here. Daras, that is an individual who seeks to a deity in prayer and worship or heathen deities. And of course, when you look at necromancy in English, that means to talk to the dead. Where we at? Nahum chapter 3. They out here talking to the. Why do you think this man come through here? What you see right here, man, cracking skulls. Because at the end of the day, when they talk about my ancestors, they basically have deified dead people. And these are your gods. My ancestors are guiding me. My ancestors have done this. That has become your God. That's it. When they come back to see, they trying to demonize African spirituality. Man, ain't nobody trying to demonize that garbage. It's garbage. And that, man, y'all got to be willing to say that junk, man. Man, that junk trash, yo. That junk is trash. You trying to clown me because I serve Yahuah. Look at what you want. What is it profiting you? Oh, ain't no rules. That's what is profiting you. You can do what you want to do. That's what people want to do. They want to do what they want to do. And you got to be man and woman enough to allow people to do what they want to do, and they may burn in hell. Because that's where they ought to go for the folly that they own. You serving other gods, you definitely ought to burn in hell. You don't repent. What is wrong with you? Nigga, your ancestors ain't give you life, you stupid bastard. And I say bastard in the truest sense of the word. Because you ain't taking the chastisement of Elohim, so you can't be a son. You a bastard. Oh, yeah, that energy junk crazy. You ain't lying that junk just grinds my gears. It pissed me off to the utmost. You niggas around here praying to dead niggas. Not praying to no dead nigga. Then they try to tell you that you pray to Jesus, he dead. Nigga, that man ain't so stupid behind him. You're stupid. See, you know the difference between Yahusha and some of the prophets of old is they would look these people in the face and told them they were stupid. They would have told them they were stupid. Anybody who served another God, they would have mocked them people. You seen Elijah do it. See, they wouldn't have mocked people who would have been just in sin. But when you go to dealing with other deities and then you staunch and steadfast and your proclamation of another deity, they gonna mock you for that. The book tell you that anybody who serve a God that they ain't got eyes but can't see, ears but can't hear, a mouth that can't talk, he said, you just like that idol. You dumb and you stupid and you dead. That's what Yahuah own words say. He said, you stupid just like the idol. You ain't got no life in you. Nahum chapter 3. I'm in 3 and 4. I'll read it again. See, one thing about it, right? You always want, you know what I'm saying? You're preaching the word. If it be the grace of Yahushua, you always want the word to reach as many people as it possibly can. But I don't want it to reach people that if I have to water it down and taper it off, and just to get into more people's ears that they might hear the word of Yahuwah and turn their soul to him. See, I'm not going to do it. See, I'll slow burn it all the way on out. Because, boy, I'm going to say what I want to say. And I don't care who feelings get hurt. Because Yahuwah's word is going to reign supreme. Yahushua is going to be preached. His father is going to be esteemed. And if Yahuwah permits, souls are going to return to him. And there shall be many rejoicings in heaven because of all the thanks that come under his name, because of the grace of the living Elohim through Yahushua HaMashiach. See, we ain't come around here to play with these niggas and be like this here, fit in, because I definitely don't need to be down with none of these niggas. I ain't got no problem with them. I got love for whomever. But I'm not finna break my back and bend over to be down with niggas or to take stuff off just to keep people feeling comfortable. Man, bump all that junk, my G. But we on what we on. You ain't got to like it. I offend every person in this room, not on purpose. But I ain't got no problem with it. Because what needs to be said, People's souls dying. People's souls is crying. And there's too many niggas out here lying. You know what I'm saying? And it ain't cool. So when you understand the depths of the peril that a man's soul is in when he is absent and separated from the living Elohim, well, you ain't got time to be around here playing games trying to win a popularity contest, trying to see how many people you can draw in just to have a whole bunch of people there or to be able to fill up your coffers when you know there's people's souls are perishing. There's people's souls who are in need of sustenance that only Yahushua can provide. Well, ain't nobody got time for that. Nobody got time for that. These niggas out here playing games. Niggas out here playing games. Nahum 3 and 4. Because of the multitude of the whoredoms of the well-favored harlot and the mistresses of witchcrafts that sell the nations through her whoredoms and families. Amen, it is. Through her witchcrafts. Behold, I am against you, saith Yahuwah of hosts. I will discover your skirts upon your face, and I will show the nations your nakedness and the kingdoms your shame. I will cast abominable filth upon you, make you foul, and will set you as a gazing stock. Shall come to pass that all that look upon you shall flee from you and say, Nineveh is laid waste. Who shall bemoan her? When shall I seek comforters for her? Now see, this is similar to what you hear with Babylon, the book of Revelation, even the book of Isaiah. But when you look at this city, full of confusion, because that crossroad is split, that's confusion, full of confusion and lies, chaos, if you will. He said, now I got to pull up, I got to let your sins be shown, your nakedness be shown. See, that goes back to the part we were dealing with the thoughts in Job 20. That can look at it as double-minded or confusion, or you could look at it as the battle between the flesh and the ruach. We chose to do both, so you can understand and see both perspectives. You have a battle. You got to let the ruach of your understanding answer. You got to listen to the correction of your dishonor. You got to listen to the state. You got to listen to the word. That's why they're hypocrites. They're confused. They're ungodly. They make that which is kadash profane or common. You got people who want to take Yahushua and mix him with all other stuff, profaning the man, making him common. This ain't no regular man, man. It's Elohim in the flesh. Shalom, baby. How you doing? It's Elohim in the flesh. Just like Brother just said, well, it's real out here, man. And at least with us, man, we got 2 minute churn. We got 2 minute churn and be out here selling doggone lies and fairy tales and pixie dust and all this other stuff. They need to prepare for a world that's full of wickedness and sin. A world full of unbelief. A world full of people with corrupt minds, destitute of the truth, and women who are desperately wicked, who seek to do nothing other than fulfill the lust of their flesh. And they got to be prepared to navigate through a minefield such as that. Can't send them out here on some old honky-dory, everything cool. Ain't, you know what I'm saying? Ain't no big deal. That means you failed as a parent because you didn't prepare them for the life that they got to leave outside of you. You didn't get them ready for war. Boy, it's a war out there. It's a war for souls out there. It's not no joke. It's not no game. The book tells you that Satan is walking up and down throughout the whole earth as a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. He said, resist him steadfast in the faith. This man is out here. And we playing games, trying to win popularity contests, trying to prove points to people that don't even matter. Man, that's junk crazy. Psalms 137. So I went to Nahum. So that worked out. So Psalms 137 is what got old Barry Soul wrote. Lil Barry, y'all remember Lil Barry? Got his pastor Jeremiah right in trouble because he went to referencing this song right here. You know what's even funnier? Is now all these niggas did all that dancing and jucking and shucking and jiving for Sleepy Joe and that bald-headed funky hoe he brought with him, and now them niggas showing you they don't fool with you. You got God again because you stupid. And you know why you got God? Because you went for the simp. Like black people are, just like a woman, you went for the simp and girl power because you were offended by the masculinity of Donald Trump. See, one thing for certain and two things for sure. You ain't got to agree. See, most people feel like you have to agree with everything that somebody says or somebody does. You can still have respect and rock with somebody and they do something and you disagree with it. But one thing you can't say about the character of Donald J. Trump, and when I say character, I mean character in the literal sense, that his character was a masculine man. And that offended many people. That's why they went for the simp. See, even with that, this situation right there, it shows you that if you give a woman in general, and when I say woman in this aspect, you use America as the woman. You give her the choice between a masculine man and the simp, and she's going to choose the simp every time. Because the simp is going to appear to her feelings and emotions and sell her a dream and sell her a lie. To be able to give her, and he'll give her a nice lot, a whole bunch of trinkets and things of that nature, but she won't realize the degradation and debt and destruction that's going to come with these trinkets. And eventually, by the time as the relationship draws near, she despises that simp with every ounce of her being. See, the masculine man gonna look you in the face and tell you, I understand that's what you want, but that ain't what you need. It's not cost effective or beneficial for us to do this, so I'm not gonna do it. How can he say that it hurt my feelings? But nevertheless, he hurt your feelings, but his policies, his structure and order was beneficial for you, and you prospered like you had never prospered before. Now, if you have understanding, you know the underlying message of what I'm talking about. If you don't, just sit back and ponder for a moment. Sit back and ponder for a moment. You had an opportunity to choose the masculine man, but you chose the simp. You chose Barabbas. You chose the simp. You chose the weaker of the two. Because the simp was never going to hold you accountable for your deeds because he's just as stupid as you. See, the masculine man, Yahushua, he going to testify that that's evil and you need to change it. He's not going to care about your feelings. Therefore, you're not going to accept. You don't want that. Swap him out. That's why it's imperative as men that you be as masculine as you possibly can be with every ounce of your being, so that your son may be as well, that they may be purveyors and promoters and proclaimers of the truth of the living Elohim with every ounce of their soul. Irregardless of how anybody feels, regardless of what they think, regardless of what they believe it is. Let the words of Yahuah be proclaimed to be men. The book tell you that. Gird up your loins and be you men. Quit yourselves like men. See, hold on. I'm trying to remember this in my brain before I read this Psalm 137. Before I read this Psalms 137. That ain't what I want. Come over here to 1 Samuel 4 and 9. After that, 1 Corinthians chapter 16. You can make it 4 and 5. This is the Philistines talking, but nevertheless. First Samuel 4 and what? 9, I said? I don't know, about 5. 1 Samuel 4 and 5. And when the ark of the covenant of Yahuah came into the camp, all Yasharal shouted with a great shout, so that the earth rang again. When the Philistines heard the noise of the shout, they said, what means the noise of this great shout in the camp of the Abarim? They understood that the ark of Yahuah was coming to the camp. The Philistines were afraid, for they said Elohim was coming to the camp. They said, woe unto us. There have not been such a thing heretofore. Woe unto us. Who shall deliver us out of the hands of these mighty gods? These are the gods that smote the Egyptians with all the plagues in the wilderness. They heard, they knew. They knew what time it was. They said, boy, Yahuah up there with them boy. Man, we done. We done. He said, be strong and quit yourselves like men, O you Philistines, that you be not servants unto the Abarim, as they have been to you. Quit yourselves like men and fight. That's why them people going to perish, like what you read in Nahum chapter 3. Because they're going to say, we can't be their servants like they've been serving us. That's how, see, that's the difference. See, they see themselves as men. They say they view you as weaker. They have no desire to serve you. They have no desire to serve you. None whatsoever. That's under the word of desire is not. There we go. Nevertheless, it said to be strong and quit yourselves like men. See, it's the same thing David told Solomon. Let me see what it is. Actually, First Kings. Over here to 1 Corinthians. It is in 1 Kings. My memory is probably. Yes, sir. 1 Kings chapter 2, verse 1. Now the days of David drew near that he should die. He charged Solomon his son, saying, I go the way of all the earth. Be you strong, therefore, and show yourself a man. See, that's the thing. You have to sit back and look at. You need to show yourself as a man. A lot of individuals don't want to do that. And when you're showing up as a man, of course, you know, you got Ish. You know, that's a husband, man, but also a great man and a champion. You need to show yourself as a champion, an overcomer, someone who's victorious, a great man. Great men don't go along to get along. Great men don't seek to appease people's feelings. Great men do great things. And you know, it said that Yahushua shall be called great and the son of the highest. So you get to cut him a jib. You want to be a great man, you need to follow the greatest man who ever walked this earth. That man ain't caring nothing for them people's feelings. That man wasn't trying to just get in for the sake of getting in. That man said his souls out here that's lost. These are sheep without a shepherd. They need direction. They need guidance. I mean, you're going to have to be a man and give it to them. You're going to have to show yourself to be a man. Look what he say after that. Keep the charge of Yahuah your Elohim to walk in his ways, to keep his statutes, his commandments, his judgments, as his testimonies, as it's written in the law of Moses, that you may prosper in all that you do, and whatsoever you turn yourself. That may Yahuah continue his word which he spake concerning me, saying, if your sons take heed to their way, to walk before me in truth with all their heart and with all their soul, there shall not fail a man, said he, a man on the throne of Yasharal. You're going to show yourself strong and be a man, but you need to take charge. You need to guard and keep this man's word. And we ain't talking about just guarding and keeping the word in regards of, I mean guarding the word, man. Guarding this man's promises and standing on that. Guarding this man's covenant and standing on that. That's where your hope lies. 1 Corinthians chapter 16. That's how you stand strong, show yourself a man. Men ain't got no problem proclaiming on what they believe and what they stand on, regardless of how anybody feels around them. See, you're not a man when you got to curtail what you stand on to appease the people in your presence, because you don't want to hurt nobody's feelings. Man, bump them niggas' feelings, man. Straight up and down. 1 Corinthians 16 and 10. He said, now if Timotheus comes, see that he may be with you without fear, for he worked the work of the Lord, as I also do. Let no man therefore despise him, but conduct him forth in shalom, that he may come unto me, for I look for him with the brethren. As touching our brother Apollos, I greatly desired him to come unto you with the brethren, but his will was not at all to come at this time, but he will come when he shall have a convenient time. Watch you, stand fast in the faith, and quit you like men, and be strong. Let all your things be done with love. Now sit there with what he told him to do. We'll look at this stuff in Greek. Look what he told him to do. Quit you, be strong like men. See, being strong as a man is not being overly aggressive, rude, and disrespectful. But you could also being a strong man also can cause you to be viewed by others as being an a-hole. And that's fine. Let them feel how they feel. But of course, you know what the watch is. You know what that course of that means in the text. That means for you to take heed, or shema. You need to listen with the intent to obey. Stand fast in the Greek, which is to persevere or to persist or to keep one standing, which is also nakun, to be established. At least in the Hebrew, you know what the faith is. We ain't got to talk about that. That's the math and the amuna. Quit you like men, to be brave. To show yourself a man and to be brave. When you talk about quit you like a man, that means to have courage. He say, quit you and be man, have courage. No fear. Perfect love cast out fear. Fear got torment. He that's made perfect in love ain't got no fear. So go ahead and be brave and stand on that word. Stand on Yahushua and let that be known. And of course, the strength, that's self-explanatory. Strengthen yourself. And we know what they're able to make a man strong to increase in strength, to grow strong, but to trust in Yahuah. For trust in Yahuah is everlasting strength, because your mind is stayed on him, because you trust in him. That's where your strength emanates from. It's because you stood fast in the faith. Therefore, you can be encouraged. You've guarded the word. See, that's what we have to do as men. You got to teach the young men to do the same. There's too many weak men out here, man. There's too many weak men out here, and that junk ain't cool. And you know why so many weak men out here? Because they're pandering for coochie. See, I just told somebody I know this here, they ain't really necessarily want to believe it. But it said 80% of men, 80% of women have a child. Only 40% of men do. This is worldwide, not just black people. This is worldwide, not just in America. This is worldwide. And that 18% of men have kids from more than one woman. So that means that the majority of women are having sex with the same men. So when you look at 40% of men have a child, and you go into the number where they say not even 50% of men are participating in sexual intercourse. I know that junk is hard to believe, but a lot of men, they just not getting no bonds for whatever reason. And then you turn around and you look at the world at large, and are very feminized, and are very weak, men are very emotional. These are not the type of men who women are attracted to. So that right then and there in itself should let you know why these men ain't getting no fun. But then also we will hear our people specifically claim it ain't no leaders. Well, you have emasculated and feminized these men and your desire to be free. Because now you've raised these men without men. So now they have no idea how to be a man. Now they're walking around here as a masculine version of a woman. So they move with female talking points. They move with a female thought process. And we co-sign it because we affiliate with these whole niggas. And you keep inseminating and putting your penis in women who create these whole niggas instead of don't have sex with her. Just don't do it. See, we want to believe these love stories and love conquer all with that pure stupidity. You believe that you're a special type of stupid. You're a special type of stupid because you know we talk about this on too many occasions. Throughout the entirety of human interaction, meeting someone and falling in love with them is a new construct. That's a new construct. That was to deceive you and to sell you a story and a lie. That's not reality. They had a whole TV show for years coming How I Met Your Mother, a whole bunch of people who were literally whoring, coming out looking for love. At the end of the day, that's what the whole show was based around. People hoeing. People hoeing. But they made it look classy and funny. You know, this is how I met your mother after I had sex with all these random women. This is a story he's telling his children. That's what it's based upon. That's what it's based around. You pay attention to them shows, that's what they show you. They don't show you a constructed family. And if they do show you one, it's a lot of buffoonery. At least with our people, even with the Caucasians, it's a lot of buffoonery. They don't want you to show you no home with no strong men in it. Leading, guiding, directing, and moderating. That goes against what they desire. So men, you can't co-sign that stuff. And you can't co-sign dudes who co-sign it. And of course, with black people, you know, we just love the degenerates. There ain't nothing like a degenerate. Black people love degenerates. Degenerate men, degenerate women. We love every bit of it. Got niggas around here, I'm talking about every bit of it. Posting it, bragging it. Absolutely love it. It's ridiculous. You know, it had to come to a point in time where you got to say, nah, bro, we don't roll with that. We don't get down with that. Psalms 137. He said, by the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down, yea, we wept when we remembered Zion. By the rivers. By the rivers of good old Babylon. So you know you're sitting down by the rivers of confusion. And you wept. Now see, this is the key thing, right? I want you to pause. I want you to look at wept, which of course is to cry, bewail, to be in grief, and things of that nature. That's bot, cough, and hey. And I just want to know, what would you say with those characters? What would you come up with for the week? Bot, cough, and hey. He said, because you wept when you remember Zion. Bot, cough, and hey. Bot, cough, hey. Little Muppet. Oh, that. Bot, cough, and hay. Bot, cough, and hay. For sure, bro. Much love, bro. You already know I love you, man. Hold it down out here, man. Bot cough and hate. Anybody have anything they'd like to proffer for that? Or shall we move on? Yes, sir. Bot cough and hate. Reserve. Ain't nobody got nothing for the bot cough and hate. Everybody good? And you can't come up with nothing? I guess not. I guess I'll have to share something there for you. So we got bot cough and hate, and we're dealing with. So you have beheld, beholding the sun that separates to reveal what's filled in the house. Oh, I like both of those. I ain't even had that for either one of those. I definitely was gonna come with you've watched the sun be subdued, but I can rock both of those. So you behold the son who's been separated, and what has been revealed to you, but what is filled in the house. And we could go to Kings, and you know what's filled in the house is the Ruach of Yahuah. But when you turn around and you look at it, the sun has been separated. Yahusha is filled with what is in the house, which is the Ruach that's been revealed. And you behold, you're watching the sun be subdued. Remember, we talked about that last week as well, the women who wept for him. And he told them, don't weep for me, weep for yourselves. Because if he done these things in the green tree, what shall be done in the dry? But it tells you that, tears come at night, but joy come in the morning. Say you wept when you remember Zion. Of course, remembrance is a call. If you don't call, that's to remember, to call to mind, to be brought to mind, to make a memorial, to make remembrance. Zayin, Kaf, and Raj. The sun was cut and subdued, hung and subdued, pierced and subdued. Why you should remember that. A lot of individuals, some individuals remember that we shy and weep, and some don't. Don't bring no sadness to their heart because they don't really got no love for them like that, unfortunately. But let's continue in Psalms 137. He said, verse 2, we hanged our harps upon the willows in the midst thereof. Now, see, I want you to pause and look at harp. I want you to think on harp. And of course, y'all know what harp is. It's literal harp, but it's kanor. And you got kaf, and you have noon, and you have u, and you have rosh. You have kaf, you have noon, you have u, and you have rosh. Again, kaf, noon, u, and rosh. Anybody? Again, Ka, Nun, U, and Rosh. So we look at this here, right? The third thing come to mind when we look at this harp is we look about how David played on the harp to get the unclean spirit to stop tormenting Saul. In this regard, we take this coffin again. We have some subduing. We add that Rosh in there, and we see that Yahushua has been subdued. And as part of his being subdued, it has secured eternal life. This is why you're hanging your harp on the willow, because this is what you play your music with, if you will. Now, you go to a willow, it's characterized as a tree, characterized by dark wood. You have Ayin, Rosh, Bat, and Hay, and you have beheld, and you have known that Yahushua is the son of Elohim. But how do you be able to behold and know that Yahushua was the son of Elohim? Because he was hung on this very said tree of which you hung this harp on, because you were weeping when you remember Zion. Now let's continue in verse 3. For there they carried us away captive. For they that carried us away captive required of us a song. They that wasted us required of us mirth, saying, sing us one of the songs of Zion. When we look at song here, this one here, you've got the bar. That first instance of the word song, it said those that carried away us captive desired a word. They desired to hear a word, a spiritual word, if you will. It said they that wasted us, they wanted mirth. If you know what mirth is, they wanted you to have joy and gladness in your lower state. So I'm going to read something with Yahushua, of course, with the weeping in a moment. And they say, sing unto us one of the songs of Zion. And of course, it's got sure, your regular song of Zion. So we look at one of the songs of Zion. I know what some of the songs of Zion are. Who can name me 3 songs in Zion? There's 3 that I can think of off the top. One I know you all know, but there's 3 that I can think of off the top. Anybody got any thoughts on that? Y'all don't know no songs? You don't know no songs of Yahuah? I don't nobody got no songs of Yahuah. Song of Moses is one. Can anybody think of another? Oh, Deuteronomy 32. Indeed, that is one. Can anybody think of another? There's about a couple more. Anybody familiar with what you call it? Dang, was Deborah had a song. I don't remember Deborah's song. That was a song and that was a song at well then, Kara, Yeah, Psalm 137. I have to take it. You definitely slid that right on in there, didn't you? That was smooth, though. Yeah, that's that one. That's Deborah's song in Judges. So when you think about those songs, when you think about the song of Moses, it's a song of redemption. When you think about the song with Deborah, it's again another song of redemption. When you think about the song of Deuteronomy 32, it's another song of redemption. See, the things that they're sitting back that they were asking for them to sing was to sing a song of redemption. If you remember the book of Revelation, it says about, let's look at that in Revelation 15. It talked to you about singing the song of Moses, that they sung the song of Moses. 15 and 1, if you would. Revelation 15 and 1, if you would. And I saw, this is Revelation. And I saw another sign in Shamahim, great and marvelous, 7 Malachim, having the 7 last plagues, for in them it is filled up the wrath of Elohim. And I saw as it were a sea of glass mingled with fire. And then they had gotten victory over the beast, over his image, over his mark, and over the number of his name, stand on the sea of glass, having the harps of Elohim, and they sing the song of Moses, the servant of Elohim, and the song of the Lamb, saying, great and marvelous are your works, Yahuah Elohim Almighty. Just and true are your ways, Malach of the faithful. And Jeremiah, wasn't this a song? I don't think it's a psalm in Jeremiah. Not that I can recall, but you could be correct. I can't recall. I don't think so. I'm thinking of the chapters in my brain. Yeah, I don't recall one. But sure, it could be though. He said, who shall not fear you, O Lord? Esteem your name. For you only are Kadash. For all nations shall come and worship before you. For your judgments are manifest. Now Lamentations could be a little different. There was a song of weeping there. Oh, you say Psalm 23, Dap? Okay, we're good in verse 5. So when you sit back and look at it, these are the songs that they were requiring. They wanted you to sing a psalm of salvation while you were taken captive. Come back to verse 4 of Psalms 137. He said, how shall we sing Yahuwah's song in a strange land? If I forget you, O Jerusalem, let my right hand forget her cunning. There is no cunning. It's just simply, let me forget my right hand if you forget Jerusalem. Luke chapter 19. Why would you forget Jerusalem? Paul, Hebrews 11 before Luke 19. Why would you forget Jerusalem? Matter of fact, I'll read Luke 19 first. And then we'll go to Hebrews. 19 and 41. And when he was come near, he beheld the city and wept over it, saying, if you had known, even at least in this day, the things which belong unto your shalom, but now they are hid from your eyes. For the day shall come upon you that your enemies shall cast a trench about you, compass you round about, and keep you in on every side, and shall lay you even with the ground, those sons within you, and they shall not leave in you one stone upon another, because you knew not your visitation. This man wept for you, the same way you were weeping when you remember Zion, because when you were in Zion, you didn't remember. When he remembered you. See, it's another part. Hold on. Let me get another word. I'm trying to think. Come over here to the book of Matthew. We'll say chapter. Might be 21. We'll see when I get there. different verbiage. Not what I want. That's not what I want. It was funny while I'm thinking about this man weeping over the city. Well, I heard these dudes arguing about should men cry or not. And this dude on here talking about, I ain't never cried. I ain't cried at my daddy's funeral when my daddy died. I'm like, nigga, there's something wrong with this nigga here. It's like, is you trying to prove a certain type of point? What is you trying to prove? Is it even that serious? Why is you fighting this matter? I'm like, if the Lord, of course, he wasn't. He got to the point where you talking to the dude, at which point I agree with completely that a man shouldn't just be around here randomly crying. You know what I'm saying? Just crying about anything, crying about this here. That's definitely not what should be promoted, because you definitely shouldn't be doing that. But we didn't told you that before, though. A lot of dudes doing that junk. If you don't really know how to properly process what you got going through, you go ahead and let that out your soul. That junk, that don't even make no sense. If you walking around holding all that type of pressure in your chest, trying to prove something to niggas who don't matter. But nah, should niggas be crying over everything all the time? Absolutely not. Ain't nobody telling you to do all that. That's just crazy. But these niggas be out here wilding, man. Dudes be wanting to show they the roughest, toughest, all this, that, there, and the third. But when they stand before Yahuah, I bet you $1 million. You know what I'm talking about? They gonna be weeping on that day. Because he already told you that. They'll be weeping and gnashing of teeth. And all these niggas who talking about they ain't did no crying, I bet your funk behind cry on that day. I guarantee you that. Dang, this verse skipping my brain, man. Yeah, I bet you they cry on that day. Dude be talking all that trash, man. They see the Lord, they ain't gonna be crying no tears of joy. I tell you that. I can tell you that. They gonna be like this here. Oh Lord, please have mercy on me. Please don't kill me. Oh, it's too late for all that. It is too late for all of that. Man, that junk just not coming in my brain. Nevertheless, y'all willing it'll come to mind. It's just escaping me. It's pissing me off. It really is. And we have to roll. That's right. Where's that junk at, man? Nevertheless, Psalms 137. Hebrew 11. We want Hebrews 11. We want verse 10. He say, for he looked for a city which had foundations, whose builder and maker is Elohim. Through faith also Sarah herself received strength to conceive seed and was delivered of a child when she was past age, because she judged him faithful who had promised. Therefore sprang there even of one, and him as good as dead, so many as the stars of the sky in a multitude, as the sand which is by the seashore innumerable. These all died in faith, not having received the promises, having seen them afar off, and were persuaded of them, and embraced them, and confessed that they were strangers and pilgrims on the earth. But they that say such things declare plainly that they seek a country. And if truly they have been mindful of that country from whence they came out, they may have opportunity to return. Now, the book of Jeremiah tell you that. He said, don't weep for him who died, but weep for him that will leave his native country and never see it again. See, our people around here weeping, they like this here, man, you want to return to Africa, you want to deal with Africa this, Africa that. Oh, you know, it's still, you know, the land's in the, all this old talking points, this, that, and the third. Man, the people don't worship the same God you do. So you caught up in skin tone. See, we caught up on who you serve. I don't care about your skin tone and you serve another God. You ain't no kinfolk to me. If you're going to stand for that, you got to stand for that, man. We can't get caught on this black power stuff, man. I'm telling you, that's going to be the downfall of your soul. But these people who got the same hue as you gonna be quick to kill you faster than Mr. Charlie is. Because the hatred of Elohim is universal. The hatred of Elohim don't know. And we done talked about that before, man. That's tribalism. It ain't racism. These people gonna seek to preserve their tribe. You just simple enough to think that these people gonna want to preserve your tribe at the same veracity that they want to preserve their own. That's a special type of stupid. Because that means you willing to forsake your tribe to the benefit of another. People don't respect that. Men don't respect that. I've been saying this for years, even before I was in the world. You can't go to another man begging them for something and expect them to respect you. See, you voted in Sleepy Joe and his bald-headed hoe because you thought that they were going to care about you, that they were going to do something for you, that they pandered to you. You were begging a Caucasian to look out for you instead of looking out for yourself. And that's your first mistake. And it doesn't matter if it was a Caucasian. It wouldn't matter who was ruling over you. You're asking another man to do for you what you should do for yourself and do for your own people. You shouldn't be looking for them to do it. But that's what you're doing. And you're expecting respect. Every man on this screen know full well you ain't respecting a man who asking you for something and he ain't doing nothing for himself. It's not the point that you're asking. It's the point that you're not even doing for self, and you want me to help you. How do you expect me to respect you? But that's when you come with the female talking points. Or they come and tell us we got to pull ourselves up, our bootstraps, we've been oppressed, and this, that, and the third. That's deflecting from the fact that you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing because you want to put that off on somebody else. Instead of saying, you know what, we need to tighten up as men. And that's it. That's the end of the conversation. And then put together your plan to do what you got to do. And the first part of that plan is implemented in your home. Not community activism, not social programs, or any of that. You got to get your house straight first. That's where the work begin at. And then you can begin to branch out. See, we want to come up with all types of programs, and the houses are in disarray. The programs mean nothing with a broken home. I told a young lady today, I've been saying it for years. You're hearing more and more people say it, not because it's just a new point. It's because it's bad out here. How did this people go from being the most married to the least married in 70 years? How does that happen? How in the 70-year span have we allowed our families to be broken and destroyed? How did that happen? How did that happen? And how did it happen? Because a lot of people sought to make families with people who they had no business mating with. That means you're not discriminatory with who you mate with. You were reckless with it. And see, if a man is reckless with it, he's got a better chance to bounce back than a woman does. Mating with the wrong person for a woman, it can be detrimental on the level of men that she can acquire, or she could be in a quagmire, if you will, of being alone. Ain't nobody telling these young girls, get your mind right in your game type, baby, keep your leg closed. Because it's going to be detrimental for you. Because now you're breeding with a low-level man, a man who is not worth being replicated on this earth. And now you are here fending for yourself. That's why they have the talking points of shaming men into raising kids that are not their own. That's a choice that man chooses to make. You can't shame, bully, or pressing someone to do something like that because you made a wrong decision. That's not his responsibility. See, and that's the problem with our people. We make wrong decisions and we feel like it's somebody else's responsibility to clean that up. Yahushua was the only one who came through and did that. And that wasn't his responsibility. That just was his love. See, now we walk around and feel entitled that somebody should clean up the messes that we made. People are not your parents. They don't clean up after you. Most of you get upset if you have to clean up after somebody. But yet we want people to clean up after us in our life and feel like we're owed that. I was young. Who cares? I ain't know no better. Who cares? That doesn't change the fact that the decision was made. It doesn't change the fact that action was done. See, if we get in the minds of people before they make the dumb decisions, then these things can be averted. And when they can be averted, then there can be a better beneficial response amongst our people. See, you got women, they don't even want to be wives. You got women who rather be mothers than be wives. You got women around here, that song ain't even popular no more. And these women still out here screaming hot girl summer. That's how bad it is. These women raising your kids, man. You know what I'm saying? This who raising your kids, man. This who raising your kids, man. And then you turn around and you look around with the young men. These niggas either stone cold killers or weirdos. Or weirdos. And when I'm talking about weirdo, not because of how they dress, what they listen to, weirdos in their thought process. Like the way that they think and they operate, nigga, you're weird. What's wrong with you? Your thought process is not conducive for anything beneficial to any community of people. Matter of fact, unfortunately, we don't even have a community of people that has been destroyed in 70 years. And 70 years. So either the white folks are that serious, or the word of Yahuah is absolutely 100% true of what he said he will accomplish, and it's going to get worse and worse until people drop to their knees and look towards heaven and say, I declare that you are to live in Elohim, and I'm in desperate need of a Savior, and I'm willing to go with the latter. So that's exactly what's going on. That's exactly what Yahuah said he would do. He has done to this people to destroy them. To destroy them, see, you thought slavery destroyed you. You ain't seen nothing yet. This man has not even come close to destroying you. Because this man said he got accomplished to scatter the power of the Kadash people. So you think you still got some power and some strength. This man got a whole lot of whooping left to do. But you're going to acknowledge him. But let me move on, because that's a whole nother conversation. See, right now, we're not going to sing the songs of redemption in a strange land. Because we're not gonna forget Jerusalem. Why are you not forgetting Jerusalem? I didn't read verse 16. If I did, I'm gonna read it again. He said they desire a better country, that is a heavenly. Wherefore Elohim was not ashamed to be called their Elohim, for he prepared for them a city. Because I have not seen, nor ear have heard, nor the heart of man perceived what Elohim had prepared for those who love him. You understand what I'm telling you? That's what this psalm is about. I ain't forgot Jerusalem. He said, if I'm not, how should I sing Yahuah's song in a strange land? Remember, the vast majority of all the songs in the text, and it said this is Yahuah's song. That's Deuteronomy 32. See, Exodus 15, that's Moses' song. See, Deborah sung that song in Judges 5. But Yahuah directed Moses to sing that in song in Deuteronomy 32. How am I going to sing a song of redemption in a strange land? It's Yahuah's song. Most of the majority of all the songs, you could go take it, Judges 5, Exodus 15, Deuteronomy 32, they're all about redemption. How am I going to sing the song of redemption in a strange land? Because when you look at these songs, they were sung in the midst of deliverance, and they were in the land when they were delivered, at least the three that I'm referencing. They were in the land when they were delivered, or preparing to enter into the land in regards to Exodus 15 and Deuteronomy 32. Oh, Yahuah, to your people pass over, oh, Yahuah. To your people pass over whom you have purchased. You understand? So this is the thought process that's being conveyed in this song. How can I sing this in a strange land? And when you look at strange, it's Nakar, foreign, alien, foreign gods, alien, foreigner. Remember, we strangers and pilgrims. I'm a foreigner here. It's not my home. It got so sad that our people got to the point America's really the promised land and this, that, there, and the third. You don't want to go home. You become comfortable here. You don't want to give it up. You feel like you're entitled because of the blood, sweat, and tears. And I understand. Don't get me wrong. I understand. But this ain't my home. I don't care nothing about it. I ain't concerned with nothing they got going on. And won't be. It's not my home. So that means if I know that I'm a stranger and I seek a better place, a place where Elohim is not afraid to be called my Elohim, then that means I'm free. As long as I sit back and look at myself and say I'm a child here, that means really that I'm sitting here and I'm still in bondage. But let's continue Psalm 137 so I get y'all out of here. This is verse 6. If I do not remember you, let my tongue cleave to the roof of my mouth. If I prefer not Jerusalem above my chief joy. Oh, why would you prefer Jerusalem above your chief joy? Let's go and look at it. Revelation 21, because I'm back here. Because I'm already back. And again, this is why, oh, Yahuah, you are my trust. Let me not be naked before you. See, he covered them, Adam them, and even though he kept the tree of life from them, he opened that up when he told you that he would make Jerusalem as the Garden of Eden or as the paradise of Elohim. And he gonna clothe you again. That's why he say, watch, lest he come upon you as a thief, keep your garments, lest you be found naked and he see your shame. See, when he came into that garden, when he came into that place of paradise, he found them naked and their shame was exposed. He giving you an opportunity that you can walk right in the garden and your shame don't be seen. You got to ask the man, please don't leave me naked. That's why he told you, let your garments be white, your head don't like no oil. Get that ruach on you and be clothed. Like I said, I tell you, we worry about the wrong thing. But see, one thing for certain, two things for sure. When it go down, you ain't going to have no choice. You're going to get down with Yahuah. You're going to get down with the devil. Ain't no in between. See, right now, everybody in between and leaning and swaying, playing games. See, all these whole niggas talking about African this and us and all this old stupid stuff these niggas going to get on. Oh, these niggas going to get down with Satan, boy. You ain't going to be us and none of that, man. Ain't going to be no, I was talking to the ancestors or none of that. You're going to be bound down to the beast, nigga. That's why he told you that in Revelation 15, for those who got victory over the beast and over his image and over the mark of his name. See, those of us, see, quit yourselves and be like men and keep charge of the commandments of Yahuah. You're going to have to stand firm and be a man. Stand in the faith, man, and be brave. And be brave. See, those who trust in Yahuah, remember he said they got everlasting strength. They ain't got no choice but to be brave. Because they don't fear him who could kill the body. They fear him who could cast the soul and kill the body and cast it into hell. That's who we fear. They can't do nothing to us. We don't care nothing about these people. We don't care nothing about these people. Who gonna separate us from the love of Mashiach? A little sword, a little jail time? You scared? If you scared, go on, let me know now. So we could go ahead and get your faith right. Ain't no sense of walking around here being scared. What you scared for? You're gonna die anyway. If you did not know, you're gonna die anyway. So you might as well die on the right side and not on the left. Revelation 21:1. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away. There was no more sea. I, John, saw the Kadosh city, New Jerusalem, coming down from Elohim, out of Shamahim, prepared as a bride, adorned for her husband. I heard a great voice out of Shamahim saying, behold, the tabernacle of Elohim is with men, and he will dwell with them, and shall be his people, and Elohim himself shall be with them and be their Elohim. And Elohim shall wipe away all tears from their eyes. There shall be no more death, neither sorrow, nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain. For the former things are passed away. And he that sat upon the throne, behold, I make all things new. He said unto me, write, for these words are true and faithful. He said unto me, it is done. I'm the Aleph and the Tav, the beginning and the end. I will give unto him that is athirst of the fountain of water of life freely. He that overcomes shall inherit all things. I will be his Elohim, and he shall be my son. Come on down here to verse 10, because since we here, we might as well describe it to you. So you guys think that you esteem Jerusalem of your chief joy. Whatever you thought in life that made you the most happy, the most joyful, the most rejoicing. You better esteem this here above it. Remember what Yahushua told you? He said, man, I got to go away from it. If I don't go, then the comfort can't come. Because see, he esteemed, remember, he said, I won't drink this food of the vine until I drink it new with you and my Father King. Because that's what he esteemed. That's what you ought to esteem, which goes back to what we began with. Even with a divided opinion, I heard the words of my chastening, and therefore the ruach of my understanding caused me to answer. Not my will be done, but your will be done. So I take that heart and I hang it on that willow tree. I take that word of Elohim, and I hang him on that tree. Nevertheless, 21:10. He carried me away in the Ruach to a great high mountain and showed me the great city, the Kadash, Jerusalem, descending out of Shamahim from Elohim. Having the esteem of Elohim, her light was like unto a stone most precious, even like a jasper stone, clear as crystal. Had a wall great and high, 12 gates, at the gates 12 Malachim, names written thereon, which are the names of the 12 tribes of the son of Yasharal. On the east 3 gates, on the north 3 gates, on the south 3 gates, on the west 3 gates. The wall of the city had 12 foundations, in them the name of the 12 apostles of the Lamb. He that taught with me had a golden reed to measure the city and the gates thereof and the wall thereof. The city lie 4 square in length as the breadth. He measured the city with the reed, 12,000 furlongs. The length and the breadth and the height of it are equal. He measured the wall thereof in 144 cubits according to the measure of a man, that is, of the Malachim. The building of the wall of it was jasper. The city was pure gold, like unto clear glass. The foundations of the wall of the city were garnished with all manner of precious stones. The first foundation was jasper, the second sapphire, the third chalcedony, the fourth emerald, the fifth sardonyx, the sixth sapphire, the seventh chrysolite, the eighth beryl, the ninth topaz, the 10th chrysoprase, the 11th the jasper, the 12th the amethyst. And the 12 gates were 12 pearls. Every several gate was of 1 pearl, and the street of the city was pure gold as of transparent glass. I saw no temple therein, for Yahuah Elohim Almighty and the Lamb are the temple of it. The city had no need of the sun, neither of the moon to shine in it, for the esteem of Elohim did lighten it, and the Lamb is the light thereof. Also, verse 1 on general principle of 22nd chapter. He showed me a pure river of water of life, clear as crystal, proceeding out of the throne of Elohim and of the Lamb. And in the midst of the street of it, on either side of the river, there was the tree of life, which bare 12 manner of fruits, yielded a fruit every month. And the leaves of the trees were for the healing of the nations. There shall be no more curse, for the throne of Elohim and of the Lamb shall be in it, and his servants shall serve him. They shall see his face, and his name shall be in their foreheads. There shall be no night there. They need no candle, neither light of the sun, for Yahuah Elohim give them light, and they shall reign forever and ever. See, this is why you esteem Jerusalem above your chief joy. Isaiah 64, I referenced it before, but on general principle. Isaiah 64 and 4. That's why you esteem it above your chief joy. That's why if you don't remember me, let your tongue cleave to the roof of your mouth. Your mouth ought to stick dead there and don't even move if you done forgot this right here. You shouldn't be able to speak every word if you can't remember that right. That means you ain't had no hope in the promise. What you talking for? You done cast this man words behind your back. You don't deserve to talk. Isaiah 64 and 4. For since the beginning of the world, men have not heard, nor perceived by the ear, neither have the eye seen, O Elohim, beside you, what he had prepared for him that wait for him. But now you have heard, and now you can perceive. So wait for it. Come on back over to Psalms 137, because now we got to get into some extra stuff. Psalms 137, 7. Remember, Yahuah, the sons of Edom in the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it, even to the foundation thereof. Amen. When we look at raise it, they say, go ahead and tear that thing down. Raise it is a rod. That is to be bare, to be nude, to uncover, to lead, to destitute, to discover, to be exposed. So when they sit back and you see this here, right, and it says, who said, expose it, even to the foundation. Expose it, expose it. Well, first and foremost, what we want to do is we want to go to the book of Obadiah. And this is not going to go how some of you think it's going to go. Some of you know how it's going to go. Some of you going to be like this here, yeah, the white man, or whoever you think Edom is, I really don't care. That ain't none of my business. Here we go. Come over here to this book of Obadiah. Dang, I just had it. And then he disappeared. There we go. Let's come over here to the book of Obadiah. Where shall I begin? We ain't been here in a long time. Verse 3 is fine of the book of Obadiah. You can make it verse 2. Behold, I've made you small among the heathen. You are greatly despised. Now, of course, this is the vision that Obadiah saw concerning Edom. When you look at small, that meaning you made young, unimportant, insignificant. When we look at this text and we look at the testimony of Yahushua, they say, ain't this Joseph and Mary's son? Ain't this the carpenter boy? See, he was insignificant to these people. And he was very unimportant. He was not anyone who they held in any regard. It goes back to we saw no beauty in him that he should be desired. And of course, you know, he was greatly despised. It goes back to our conversation talking about Job and him being hated. Of course, that's bizarre. That's someone who is considered to be worthless, to be regarded with contempt or disdain. He said, the pride of your heart have deceived you, you that dwell in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground. Now, forgive me, because I'm going to move pretty swift. Now, you know the pride of your heart have deceived you, because they say, you being a man, maketh yourself Elohim. Dwell in the clefts of the rocks. Go read Isaiah 57 and pick it up at about the verse 15, and you'll see exactly what we're talking about him who dwell in the clefts of the rocks. I'll grab it for you. One time, so you don't think I'm making it up. But Isaiah 15, but thus saith the Kadash one, the high and lofty one who inhabit eternity, whose name is Kadash. I dwell in the high and Kadash place with him also, that is of a contrite and humble Ruach, to revive the Ruach of the humble one and to revive the heart of the contrite ones. Because when you look at him who say, he said, whose habitation is high. You really think that's what the one web boy come and tell you? And that's talking about somebody who around here dwelling in space. Habitation here is dwelling place. It's Shevet. Concretely an abode, a place, a seat. So he say whose seat is high. Now come on, man. Don't let these people around here tell you they talking about there's somebody dwelling in space. Don't let nobody tell you that. He said, who shall bring me down to the ground? Well, you know it tell you in Isaiah 59 that truth lies in the street. We already know about Isaiah 14 in regards to how you have fallen from heaven, O Lucifer. But nevertheless, he said, you shall exalt yourself as an eagle, and you shall set your nest among the stars. Hence will I bring you down. Y'all know this. Y'all know the stars are what? The sons of Elohim. That's Kokab. We already know. This ain't talking about no Edom in the spiritual sense. On the top it is. But that's not who that's talking about. All you got to do is read Psalms 45. Told you that he esteemed them, anointed him with the oil of gladness above his fellows. He said he set his nest amongst the stars. Pause and think about that. Nest here is kin, or khan, and that is simply a chamber, a dwelling. Say cells like nests in Noah's Ark, but it's a dwelling place. Kuf and Noon, the light of life. The light of life is among the stars. That's where he set himself at. So I said, in my father's house, there's many mansions. I go to prepare a place for you. If it was not so, I would have told you. The same way that Noah prepared a place for you. But see, here we go. We have to revisit some of the stuff because we're getting late in the game. If thieves come to you, if robbers by night, you know who was a thief? Judas. How you are cut off. Would they have stolen till they had enough? If grape gatherers came to you, would they not leave some grapes? How are the things of Esau searched out, and how are hidden things sought up? All the men of your confederacy have brought you even to the border. The men that were at Shalom with you have deceived you and prevailed against you. They that eat bread have laid a wound under you. There's none understanding in him. You hearing all about Judas. I say, you who willing on tomorrow, will you come back? Because some people, I know y'all ain't heard some of this stuff before talking about old Judas. I know Edom over here in this here. But look what this man just said. They that have eaten bread with you acted like they were at peace. Hail, master. And a wound is under you. Wound here is Mizmowr. That's a net or a trap. Say prevailed against them. They that eat bread have laid a trap for you. Did not Judas do that? Did he not say, my familiar friend who eateth bread of me have lifted up the heel? And what did he say? Edom said, raise it, or expose the foundation. We go back to us talking about how he was laid bare and naked. And even in his division of thought, when he spake hastily, Abba, let this cup pass. I heard and obeyed the chastening of my disgrace, and the ruach of my understanding caused me to answer. And I said, not my will be done, but your will be done. Definitely a treacherous plot, young man. Definitely. Verse 6, he says, shall I not in that day say, if Yahuah even destroy the wise men out of Edom and understanding out of the mount of Esau? And mighty men, OT man, shall be dismayed to the end that every one of Mount Esau may be cut off by slaughter. For your violence against your brother Jacob, shame shall cover you, and you shall be cut off forever. Let his blood be on our children's children. And that day you stood on the other side of the day that strangers carried away captive his forces, and foreigners entered into his gates, and cast lots upon Jerusalem. Even you was one of them. But you should not have looked upon your brother in the day that he became a stranger. I came into my own received me not. They knew me not. He said, Abba, Kadash Abba, they have not known you. They didn't know him. He became a stranger that day, and they was right there. Neither should you have rejoiced over the sons of Yahudah in the day of their destruction. Neither should you have spoken proudly in the day of his distress. You should have not entered into the gate of my people in the day of their calamity. You should have not looked on their affliction in the day of their calamity, nor laid hands on their sufferings in the day of their calamity. Neither should you have stood in the crossway to cut off those that did escape. Neither should you have delivered up those that did remain in the day of distress. Oh, you should have took part with those who were murderers of Mashiach. You should have not been a part of that. But that's why you put your trust be in Yahuah, that he don't leave you destitute. Psalms 137. We'll revisit some of these things on our Yahuah permit. Verse 8, O daughter of Babylon, who art to be destroyed, which takes us back to what we read in Nahum. Happy shall he be that rewards you as you have served us. You know, it says that in Revelation 18. Happy shall he be that take and dash your little ones against the stones. Now, you're talking about dashing, right? You're talking about breaking into pieces, beating into pieces, to pulverize. The Fox, Noon, Pei, and Sod, they are going to know that Yahushua, or the way, spoke the words of life, because he said, hey, he that received me, receive my Father. He that reject me, don't reject me, but reject him that sent me. And the same word that they reject shall judge them in the last day. Now he said, you're going to pulverize your little ones. Little ones is Olel. That's a child. That's a boy. I remember the first time, an infant, the time I told a girl I grew up with this here when I first started dealing with the word. That's not right. Take a little bit, pulverize. See, when I hear these women and some of these women talk about the woman always fought with the man, no, you didn't. Reason why I say this here, because when you get in war, you got to do some ugly things. And when you look in the text, of course, y'all know Yahuah told you kill everybody, babies and all. And most women ain't going to do that. If you had to come up on a group of people, you're not going to kill them sons and see you're going to make a fatal mistake. Because if you see leave the sons alive, the sons are going to remember that you killed their fathers, their mothers, their grandparents. And they're going to sit from that day forward and plot on your demise till they can come of age and avenge their people. See, Yahuah don't play them type of games. Indeed, Yahuah don't play them type of games. He don't get you out of here. And that's right, because them women couldn't do it. They couldn't take Moses out. You can't send women to do that because they're not going to do it. Women don't have that heart to take life like that. When you talking about war. See, that don't sound good from a bunch of women talking who ain't got to up no fire, who ain't never seen no bullet pierce no flesh, who ain't never seen a man bleed like a stuck pig, that ain't never heard nobody scream for the agony of beg for their life, and the person come snuff them out. Most women ain't got the heart for that. Most women ain't got the heart for that. And I ain't even speaking in general, they're speaking overwhelmingly. There's only a small amount of women on this earth that ain't got no problem killing whoever and whenever. A lot of men ain't got the heart to do that. That's a whole nother thing. You talking about killing children. But you go back and read in the law. He told him kill everybody. Ain't that what got Saul in trouble? He told him kill everybody. That's right, Sean just said it. He said kill everybody. Don't spare nobody. That's harsh, man. That's harsh for people to process because you're not thinking about war. You understand? Now, when you got this word stones, you have salah, which means crag, cliff, rock, but also figuratively as a stronghold of Yahuah, of security. They're going to dash their heads up against Yahuah. And again, that's Samak, Lamad, and Ayin. They knew they should have grabbed hold to the shepherd, but they chose not to. So we got to go ahead and we'll end this right here in Revelation chapter 2. When you're talking about bashing their heads up against the stones or beating them into pieces and pulverizing them, because it's book for it. And y'all know it equates to Psalms 2. I don't know why niggas be getting in their feelings. I know why they getting in their feelings. Because you're a coward. Yahuah offends you. But you quick to scream, he a man of war. Lying nigga. Revelation chapter 2, right? You can pick it up at verse 24, just on general principle. But I say unto you and unto the rest in Thyatira, as many as not this doctrine, and which have not known the depths of the adversary, as they speak, I will put no other burden, put upon you no other burden. But that which you have already hold fast till I come. He that overcome and keep my works unto the end, him will I give power over the nations. He shall rule them with a rod of iron, as the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as I received of my Abba. I will give him the morning star. He that have an ear, let the Ruach, what the Ruach saith unto the houses. That man said, you're going to break them into pieces like a potter's vessel. But guess what? They broke the servants of Yahuah into pieces like a potter's vessel. You get what you earn. But hallelujah for Yahushua. Let Yahuah be praised and esteemed through the gospel of Yahushua HaMashiach. Let all men throughout the whole earth acknowledge that he is the living Elohim and the only name of which souls can be delivered and saved. I appreciate y'all this evening. Bless y'all at the house of Elohim in the name of Yahushua. You know, remain stand firm in the word. Let the mercies of Elohim guide you and strengthen you. Yahuah permit. We got some immersions to do on tomorrow. So again, let Yahuah be esteemed. Thank you for your time, man. Just weigh and consider, especially what we began with in the Job 20. Let that sit back in your brain about how you can be in a divided spot, but even in a divided spot, to hearken and to listen, to obey to the chastening of the disgrace, so that the ruach of understanding. See, if you hearken it, and we would say the chastening of the disgrace, of course, you know, there's a reproaches of them that reproach you fell on me. We're more so talking about hearkening to the chastening of Yahusha. Hearken unto that when you find yourself leaning towards going with the flesh over the ruach. Because when you do that, that's how the word that is in you, which is giving you the insight, because we know he has come and given us an understanding that we know him that is true and that we are in him that is true. Even Yahushua HaMashiach, that is what is going to cause you to do what you ought to do. You know, praise Elohim for the word, man. His word is beautiful. His understanding is infinite. There's nothing like it. Hold fast to it. Again, blessings out the house of Elohim in the name of Yahushua. I appreciate y'all. Love y'all this evening. Who are willing, we'll pick it up on tomorrow. And yeah, we'll go from there. I got bathroom.